Call the Yamhill Water Advisory Committee meeting to order. I'll get a roll call, please.
Mullen here. Jason here.
Jensen here.
Nadeem here.
Phillips here.
Before we get started with the committee, what I would like to do tonight is we'll open up for public comment. As soon as that's over, we'll close all public comment. And I'd like us to have a discussion. I've got some numbers I'd like to go through on the board, see if I'm figuring right. And we can discuss. Then at the end, we will open up for public comment, and then we will make and we'll decide if we're going to make a recommendation to the council or not, and if we're sending it back for more. So like I said, we'll open for public comment. Once we get done, we'll close any public comment, and won't be answering any questions until after the committee has discussed or reviewed a bunch of stuff. At the end, I'll open it back up for public comment, and then the committee will decide if we're going to make a recommendation to council on water. So with that, I'll just go down the list. And we will be timing the 3-minute timer. We have a lot to get through tonight, so I'll just start at the top. Birch.
No comment.
Janice. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Jensen. I appreciate the call. The only couple of items that I have that I'd like to speak about is the rates, obviously. I think this OAWU, Oregon Water Association, I think they did a heck of a job in scrutinizing our water situation. I had a chance to, at the city council meeting, I had a chance to scrutinize their information to the point of satisfaction. Thank you very much. The only thing I'd like to talk about tonight is the amount of hookups that they say that there is. Now, it was my understanding last year, the year before, and most of this year, that there was 552 inside residential hookups. That number has decreased. So I'm curious about that. And not that it's going to make a big difference, but the rates proposed $78.39 for inside the city. Outside the city, $94.07.
What page are you on?
I'm on page 6 on the water rate study. And those items seem to be adequate, but I will point to see if I can find it here. Page 26 in the water rate study, where it shows 2 different water rates for the inside city. One is $78.39, the other one is $94.07. Now, I understand that we're trying to go easy on everybody here in the beginning, and not really, as everybody has said, rip the Band-Aid off. But I'm the kind of person that if I've got to get a shot, I'd rather just get it over with. If I've got to, so to speak, get damage to my house or my car. I'd rather just get it over with than to piecemeal it, and the same with, increases. So, I guess my opinion is maybe we ought to just consider ripping the Band-Aid off, because we are 25 years behind times, 30 years behind. You know,
Time's up.
all I can say
Time's
is,
up, Robert.
all I can say is, people have been kicking the can down the road for a long time. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Tim?
I didn't sign in, I didn't see the sign in, but I want to talk on my turn.
It's here, we're hiding it from you, Jared.
My name's Tim Gallion, I live off of Clay Pit Road, I'm, in West Yamhill Water District. I've gone over this water study. You know, I have some questions that probably can't be answered tonight. A lot of the big one is page 26, when we get down to this, the theory. And a theory is only a theory. You know, there's no right or wrong about it, but I'm here to tell you that it isn't going to work for the city, because at those rates, you are going to price out customers. You know, these people out here, we will find ways to not pay these rates. We will truck water in. It will be cheaper to truck water in. We'll drill wells. You're going to lose the people that are paying the most in this theory, 100%. So I really, and I don't understand, why does the outside districts, why do they get paid, or why do they get charged 20%? Just because we maintain our stuff. There's an earthquake, all the water lines break, it's on us, not you. So it's not equitable. I saw that term right from the beginning of the water study, equitable. It's far from miles and miles from equitable. That's all I have.
Thank you. Terry?
Nope.
Donna?
Nope.
Susan?
No.
Fitzgerald?
No.
Pat? Tim?
I'm good, Ron.
Susan? Other Susan? Jay? John?
I'm not prepared for any comments, thank you very much.
And Sherry?
I'm always ready. Sherry's also 7:50. And just looking at this, sorry I'm late, but why is the last check was 2016? Did I miss out on this? Why it's for 7 years
This
behind?
is different than the water survey.
Oh, okay, well, that answers that question. And I think on your end, I want to mention that people that live in the city pay city taxes that don't, so that funds go to the water?
Nope.
Nope, none of it?
Nope.
Well, I'd be complaining then too. So, I don't know, I'm with Robert on the idea of just ripping the Band-Aid off and let's just go for it and move on. You know, this is, you guys need money to bank your accounts in order to do any kind of updates, and updates are what we need. I'm sorry, it's been, 30 years, nobody's paid crap and attention to any of it, but it's time. So, sure. Thanks.
Thanks, Sherry. Do you have anybody online?
I do have an unnamed person online. So they're gonna have to state their name and address.
The phone number in 1704. Have a comment?
Are you all ready for me?
Yes.
Okay, this is Patty Perrin, 215 North Maple Street. I couldn't attend the meeting tonight, but I wanted to give my comment in regards to the water, the water rates. My concern is that the rate has been, the percentage was reduced from what was initially advised when this was started to, when it was being addressed. And I am on a fixed income. So, and my husband's going to be retiring here pretty soon. I would rather see that we pay whatever is needed in order to be able to keep our infrastructure on a go-forward basis. Financially, yeah, it's going to hurt everybody, but there are programs out there for people that are on lower incomes that can't necessarily afford, the $90 or whatever it's going to be a month. And I mean, we're going to be able to afford it. Do I like it? No. Do I want to continue to have water and whatever else is needed in order to be able to keep going in this town? Yes. So I am all for a rate increase that will keep our infrastructure on a go-forward basis. And I realize that the outside water districts have additional fees, but if the city would seriously look at incorporating or consolidating or whatever you want to call it, to have the outside water districts and these other 51 people, whoever they are, into a single water district, then maybe the rates wouldn't be so terribly high for these other people. So that's all I have to say. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Patty. Any other public comment?
Can I ask a question real quick? I think everybody's looked at page 26 quite a bit. Can you give an example? I'm not real clear on the tier structure. So for example, let's say you have a large family and some animals and you use 30,000 gallons a month. That's not unusual from what I see in the billing that we do. Can you give me, just kind of walk through real quick, what that is now versus what it will be on the rate increase?
I don't even know if we're gonna go the tier.
Or have you decided?
We have not decided, so there's, at this point, there's been nothing recommended to council. That's why we're here tonight. So,
Well, maybe you could explain kind of what the tiers are. I don't know if I'm the only one that's not clear on that, but I can't read this.
Can I get a name?
and your name was? Susan.
Yeah.
Susan.
I think if we get through what we need to discuss tonight, maybe towards the end, you might understand it a little bit better.
Okay.
I think,
I read through this.
I've got some numbers I want to share, and, I think, sure.
Sherry Wilson, 753. I was very confused on the draft where it talked about the size of the water line. I'm like, isn't it by the gallon?
Meter size.
Oh, okay, so,
Three-quarter.
so at 3/4, how does that break down? What does a 3/4 send compared to a 4-inch or a 3? I mean, that was not on there. How many gallons come through a 3/4 compared to 4-inch?
Big difference.
Those are base rates based on the size of the valve.
Right, I understand that now, but,
Sherry,
huh, go ahead.
our district is on a 3-inch meter,
Mhm.
and that 3-inch meter is serving 29, 30 of us, whereas your 3/4 meter services you.
Right,
So that's the
so you guys.
The
That's
volume, it increases the volume.
difference. Yeah.
So you guys figure out how many, do you split it up, like so-and-so used 30,000? So
Well,
they use 20 or-
each of our 30 users has his own meter.
Okay,
So they are billed just like you for what they use.
okay,
And
well, that's
we-
good to know.
And we
because
have a
that
base
difference-
rate, right now we have a base rate, I think of 1850. That pays, because our 3-inch meter right now costs us $500.
Mhm.
And so you take 30 into 500 and you come up with a base rate. And then the folks are billed, if they use 1,000 gallons, they're billed for 1,000. If they use 50,000.
Okay, so you break it down individually yourself on your
Yes.
own water district.
And then,
And I got something to add. So, and the problem with this tiered system is, since we're on a 3-inch meter, our whole district is under those rates, okay? And then we have 30 people, and then you have, you know, we're a house with no animals, and then like my neighbors, they got animals, they use a lot more. The whole district uses a lot more. So we're almost like, you know, we're making 30 grand a year, but we're putting it in the very next many levels tax brackets, and we're getting unfair tax, right? Not use, it's usage.
But from what Tim's saying, you're being billed through your district by the volume that you're using.
But
Do I
our whole
misunderstand that?
district will be charged at a different rate than anyone else with a
Point of order.
3-4
So, I think one
Okay.
stop there, we wanna get into.
Sorry, I'm trying to understand
Yeah.
the variance here.
So, we're gonna close public comment now.
Thank you.
What the committee, I'd like to go through, and I'm just gonna share some numbers and some stuff that I've been going through the budget and this report. One, I wanna start off, Marcy's gonna write on the board for me. She writes better than I do. We currently have 9 water districts. And then we have 6 users that are not in a water district. That is kind of counted as the 10th water district.
They're the ones that don't respond to anything.
Not responded.
They don't respond to nothing. You can't get them on the phone, you can't talk to them.
So, out of those, right there, there's 169 users.
So are they what I would call mainline users?
Nope. District. So we've got 169 users out in the water districts. And anybody correct me if I'm wrong.
No, it sounds good to me.
This is numbers I got. Then we have 53 users that are on the main line that the city bills. And then, my numbers are right, we have 552 city connections
At this moment.
at the moment.
That does not include,
It's gonna pump up to
It
57.
does not include any additional. So if I added right, that's 774 users total on the system. So committee, we're all,
yep, I did the math, it's
okay. Marcy, you want to put the 774 in the corner, because we want to remember that number. The next thing I want to share with the committee, and Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, is the SDC, water SDC, so you can clear that off the board. Maybe clear it off the board.
good. Out.
So currently, the SDC fund, the water SDC fund, in the budget, pays $158,000 a year towards the loan debt, to the water debt. Been doing that every year. That loan goes until 2041.
And that's the total loan. The total amount owed, there's no other.
Well, there's extra revenue in the 17% and 17%,
Yeah.
34%. I believe they're just saying that also goes there.
this loan, what is this loan you're referencing
The
to?
transmission line,
Okay, was this for the upgrade to the 18?
yes.
Line? Yep. Okay.
What was the
I
total?
thought we had a grant for that.
No,
What was the total? Oh,
So that's why there's some numbers that are misconstrued. That 17% and that 17 additional percent never went to the city budget. It just goes to debt service. So you have 34% of revenue that just goes right to debt.
Okay, so that was,
What was that, 2016?
but was it $3 million, $2 million?
it's, 2 point some million, I got it.
2.8, I want to say 2.6.
Yeah,
Okay, so we did not receive a state grant for part of that line or
No.
anything? So we just borrowed the money and put it in?
Yep.
Okay.
so, the SDC fund, out of this budget for 23-24, had a starting fund of 741,810. Out of that, there was 100,000 set aside for capital projects. Out of that fund for this budget year. And also out of that is the $158,000 to pay part of that debt loan. And we've been taking that out in the last couple of years. That leaves $403,810 in SDC funds at the end of this year.
and what is that CC stand for?
System
System development charges.
So if we keep paying that $158,000 out of debts, out of SDC every year, we only have 3 years left in SDC's money to pay that portion.
So how much is the actual interest compared to the money?
So the loan payment in the budget is $274,272. Because we're required to have 58,000 in reserve every year. So the total amount we have to have set aside for that debt loan is $274,272. So at this rate, we only have 3 years of that 158,000 left in SDC. Once that's gone, it's gotta come from somewhere else. If you take that 158,000 and just equally divide it by the 774 users, that is a $17.02 a month cost. We'll put 17.02 over there.
So you took the 774 into the 274.
Okay. So once that SDC money's gone, that's what we would have to increase water rates, just to cover
The loan debt.
that loan debt, for that 158,000. If you want to, when the 57 homes come on, if they were all to come on, that's only gonna bring you 370,000. It's only gonna buy you 2 years. You would have to have 25 new homes every year just to pay that 158,000.
Unless you raise the SDC. But legally, we're holding obligation there too.
Yeah, there's a lot of legal stuff you gotta go through to do that.
I agree.
So I just wanna make that out there that we're 3 to 5 years away from having a major shortfall in our debt service fund.
And that takes away from your operation cost also, that's what we use for CIP projects to match all these grants.
Yeah, that means there would be no using any SDC money for any projects at all. That's out the door.
And that's
So,
At today's rates.
yeah. So, any questions on SDC. So 158,000 of our debt comes out of SDC.
And those are the funds that you use to match your capital improvements.
Correct.
Yeah. So that SDC funds is receiving.
So, my next question, and I don't have good answers for this. I think it's gonna take a major dive in and really asking. So on the debt service, like I said, 158,000 comes from SDC. Of that 272. That leaves 116,272 that's gotta come out of user fees to pay. If you equally divide that by the 774, that's $12.52 a month per user. Equal divided across the board. Looking, and in the budget, it says that the user fees, 20 cents of every dollar goes to debt, 80 cents goes to operations. My question that I don't have a good answer for yet is, do we have two separate numbers? Because there's a user fee number in debt service, and there's a user number in the water fund resources. I don't think that we're getting 600 and some odd, well, $675,000 in user fees a year. So my question that we've got to find out is, are we taking money out of the water fund to pay that? Because the water fund does not show a transfer out to debt service.
Yeah, but regardless, and in essence, no matter what, if you're drawing out of the SDCs, you are taking it out of the water.
You're taking the 158,000, but the 116. So that if we get 116 by 774 total users, that's 1252. Let's put that over there.
And that's to be added to the 17.
Yep.
Two?
So
Okay.
it works out to, I think, 2954 or something like that.
Can I ask you something? Brian?
Yeah.
Did you calculate in the $11.40 that we lose per thousand?
That's not counting that. There's many. I think we're just scratching the top here.
And just so people know, like when I talk about that $11.40, we're losing per thousand that we provide. That's because we didn't keep up with CPI. So what it costs us to generate power, chemicals, so on and so forth, to create the water, we lose that $11.40 per thousand.
What's your CPI, Jason?
That's your, it's your construction product or price index.
Consumer price index.
So we go through all the construction one, but inflation, basically.
So there's where we're at for debt service. That's what we need to pay that debt, that 274, 272 every year.
Can you tell me those two?
2954. So we need 2954 from every user inside out just to pay debt service.
Okay, Brian, in your 714 number you have up there. or
774.
Okay, the 774. When these 50 or 60 new homes come in, that's gonna go up by 50 or 60, correct?
Then you could reduce.
So you're gonna have more hands pitching in the pot, once those houses come
But-
online.
Barely, I mean,
I got some theory, and we'll talk about that. Let's go through the rest of this.
we're still using water.
So,
Right.
there's where we're at on debt service. We all
Got it.
clear. clear that off.
The 1702 per year is just debt service, right?
No, 2954.
2954 a month.
52 together, it's 2954, right?
What's the 1702 alone?
What does the 1702 number represent again?
That's the 158,000 coming
That comes
out
of
of,
capital. Okay.
coming out of SDC funds.
Yeah, okay. Got it.
In reviewing the report, in reviewing the budget for water, the current budget on the water fund is 1.2 million roughly. And the water fund references that. One thing that I want to take away from there is that 192,000 Merkley grant was included in the resources, and the 100,000 of the new subdivision for the rock,
Never happened.
the intake stream. So there's $292,000 that really needs to come out of the water fund because it was grant money. Gifted.
100,000 was gifted.
The 192,000.
From Berkeley County.
Yeah, so there's 292 in the revenue source. It was being spent out in your capital outlay.
We didn't get that though, right?
No, we didn't get that.
Okay.
So that should not be included in what's needed to operate. If you take that away, we got 1,275,685. All of a sudden, it's change that. So if you take the 192,000 and the 100,000 away from there,
298,000 total.
292. So that's the Merkley grant and the money from the, so that leaves 983,685, which is the resources that's required. Out of that, we have personnel at 235,201.
Wait a minute, she's still writing the 900.
Then you've got 235,201 for personnel. 326,850 for materials and services. And then the balance is capital outlay.
So you calculated the insurance city manager.
That was right off the budget, so whatever's in the budget. That would be for capital outlay and contingency. That's what's left out of that 983,685. If you equally divided that 983,685 by the 774 users, just equal across the board, you would need $105.91 a month just to get that number.
That's at the standard 4,000 gallons allowance. 4,000 allowance.
Does that put you where you're gonna have money in the bank or not?
No,
Okay.
that does not count the $29.54 for debt service.
So the 326,000 material and services does not include any capital improvement.
So capital improvements is included in the 421,634. So if we were just equal across the board, it'd have to be 105.91 just to get to that number. And then you'd have to add the 29.54 to your debt service. Once SDC funds runs out. So whatever that totals up to, 105.91, and then
34 something.
About 140 a month.
What you're saying is that the rate study has Tim did is not enough money.
This is not taking in the different gallon usage, this is just going by the user.
just going by the users.
So you're not factoring any gallons used in
No,
this number.
and so I'll get to that in a minute. I'm just trying to get a baseline of where we're at. Some numbers in here that Tim had are not correct. And so it needs to be gone back through and redone. I'm just trying to establish kind of a baseline of what's needed to make that and to pay our debt.
Hey, Brian? Now, what's that number you got there, 10 what?
105.91.
Okay, so 105.91, and currently, your base bill is $78, correct?
66, 72.
Okay, so you're in the rear 40-some bucks a month right now, just.
And that's not counting debt service.
We're short 40-some bucks a month.
Well,
For
you're
it to
short,
break even.
Yeah,
short,
just to get to even, correct?
well, you're even short more net for your debt service, you're short to
Well, I'm just talking about what your,
yeah.
your 105 number, or whatever.
So this column on the right, that's just assessing the debt, not the cost of water.
Yeah, the 105.91 is the cost of water operations, that's personnel, materials and services, and capital outlay.
To not have a loss.
That's your fixed cost without selling water, correct?
That would be the fixed cost. That would be,
But no bank.
that would be not, that would just be 4,000 gallons either. The other thing I noticed in Tim's report, he showed the total gallons of 79 million. But he also, and he based his calculation for the water cost per gallon off of that number. But we have almost a 14% loss. That loss we're not getting money on.
That's part of his projection. He projected at 14%, even last time he was here, he projected at 14%.
If you run the numbers back, the rate should be about $1, it should be about 1.0145 per gallon. It bumps up. Yeah. So any questions on?
So my question is, if we take 774 users and times that by a 4,000 gallon number, how many gallons does that take in?
700, say 8 times 4.
Well, average uses, at 740.
3,096?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that's.
So you're
that's
77,000 gallons of water that's not accounted for, okay, got it.
So. So
That would be,
just
times that by
to pay
$37,152, if you just did 4,000 for a year.
Per month.
For
For a year.
per year.
Per year, it'd be 37 million. I was looking
Oh,
at,
okay.
because they have a 128 million
4,000
gallon
times 12
annual
times
production, so.
654, okay, I got it.
So just to make personnel material service operation, we've got to generate somewhere close to $1 million, 983,000.
His projected cost of 1.2.
That was including the 292,000.
You took 292 off to come with that money.
Yeah, because
So just say $1 million.
that's not being paid for by the users.
Yeah.
That was just balance the budget. So I looked at this another way. I took the number and I went with the 14% loss. I came up with a cost per gallon of 0.01444, or some call it 0.0145 per gallon.
Yeah, what's that make it up 1,000?
$14.50 per thousand. If you do the 4,000 gallons, that's $58. Just for the 4,000 gallons of water.
So we pay more than that now.
Well, plus your others.
No, that's just for water, so in order to get to, we gotta be close to that 105.
Per user.
Per user, at 4,000 gallons, anything over 4,000, then it would add a little extra money
At a
in,
higher rate, right?
possibly.
Yeah.
So, if you did 4,000 gallons at $58, if you did a base rate at $47.91, that would get you to your 105.91. That does not include the debt service.
You'd have to add your $29 on top of that, correct?
$29.54.
But when looking at it by the user use, I see where you're going with that, but there's so many people that use more than the 4,000 gallons. That's a factor that
And that's not a constant.
yeah.
What I was trying to do is make something fair across the board, so here was my thought. And you guys can tell me if I'm TV or not. My thought is I think we ought to establish a fair rate across the board to the users. You did the base rate at $47.91, 4,000 gallons of water at $58. And that, I would recommend that the 4,000 gallons per user, so if you have 31 users in your water district, you get 124,000 gallons of water. Anything over that would go out at a higher rate.
That's not the way he set it up.
But it would be $58 per times 31 users at the 4,000.
Plus the base rate.
That's your base rate, so the district of 31 would be $58 times 31, and that would give them.
Well, it'd be 58 plus the 47.91.
Okay.
47.91 is your base meter. We gotta keep some, because your water fluctuates, and so it's hard for city to budget and plan. So if we figure that the $1 million is kind of your base of where you need to be to operate, maintain, do a little bit of capital, not a lot.
Brian, can I back the bus up just a minute?
Sure.
Okay, the $58 you're talking about, that's gonna be a base rate with 4,000 gallons?
That's just for water. That's just for 4,000 gallons of water.
Okay, that's the cost of the water, the 4,000 gallons at 14 something a thousand.
Yeah,
Okay, so the 49 you're adding to that is what?
the 4791 is just the base meter rate
Okay,
to get to that 983,685.
so you're gonna be roughly $97.
$105.91.
$105.91. And that would get you the first 4,000 gallons of water
Per user.
per user.
Which also doesn't include the debt service.
So like,
But the big thing is that per user, inside, outside, all around,
All
upside down?
together, everybody.
Because that completely changes the way that everything works in the water district.
Yeah, exactly.
yes.
Does that include, there's a basic fee on your water meter there.
So-
where does that go?
That would be the 4791, so if you had 31 users on the district,
What's your base cost? For your meters?
598.5.
Is that for 3-inch, Kathy?
Yeah, 3-inch.
That's what ours would be too.
So that would be, for our district, 33 users, our base rate would be $1,914 instead of $590. And it would give us 232,000 gallons of water.
Well, that would give 30 of your 33 users 4,000 gallons each.
Yeah, and some of them, well, it's like in the city, we don't have, some of them don't use that much,
Right.
so.
if you go over that, so, so if we did 31 users at 4791, your base rate would be 1,485.21 a month. Then you would add your $58 per user, so you'd be $17.98 for water, and that would be 24,000. Yeah, 124,000 gallons
For how many?
for 31 users.
Well, I came up with 232,000 for 33 users, I did that wrong.
So 4 times 3 is 120. So,
Yeah.
If you just went by water, you would have to, it averages out at 7,332 gallons to make without a base rate.
You're proposing that everybody separate. Each account, including water districts, which users, instead of just the district itself.
Well, the districts would have to build their own users.
like the city would build at each district.
But it would be equal across the board. Now the deal would be is you establish a higher rate for any bid that goes over that 4,000. That's where you would help with conservation measures.
That's a big thing, water conservation aspect of it.
So, if you bump that water rate to, like PG does, once you hit over 1,000 kilowatts, you're into the high risk district, as they call it.
Does it bump up like 10% per thousand?
Bump it to 0.0175. So that would be 1750 for each thousand after.
If I'm one of those people, I'm sorry, but I water in the summer.
That's Kathy Fall.
It makes it an unacceptable amount of raise in the rates, in my opinion. That is just crazy. I think that we're gonna pay $17 per 1,000 gallons of water. We're gonna have to add $2 or $3 on the district side, so we're gonna be charging them $20.
Well, it'd be the same way for anybody in the city that went over 4,000 gallons. If you got 5,000 gallons,
I was 20,000 gallons.
you're gonna add 1750 per thousand.
Choice. Not necessarily.
All thoughts.
Okay, on the average, what's a family of household of 4, statistically, is there an average use for a household of 4?
Like 5,700.
You're not that dirty, kid. You can wait for your bathroom once a week.
They'll be cheaper to shower with bottled water.
There you go. Not really, but, you know. Can I bring up something that we haven't talked about? I'm sure you will these names. So we're talking about all the water use and how much we're gonna charge, and I'm all about making it equal for all of us. But if we come down to another situation like we did 2 years ago, when we don't have water, I wanna know how that's gonna affect me, being a resident in county. You guys are using surplus water out of town, what your plan is for that.
That would be it. It's a whole nother.
Nice rest, if you want to open up.
Yeah, that's a whole different, right now, we're just trying to get.
Okay, well, I just want it on record that I brought that up, and I know it's a concern with the people in town, it's a concern for people who live out of town.
It's on our list, it's just, we're just trying to figure out rates. Thoughts, tell me about all that, I don't care.
Can I ask a question? You mentioned that it would take 25 more houses per year or whatever. Obviously, there's a limitation to how much water we have, and obviously that's something you guys don't want to talk about right now, but can you explain how adding housing tax then improves our position? I didn't really understand that part.
So each new house brings in what's called water SDC, 6,004, somewhere in that neighborhood. And so that.
And hookup fees and.
That's for new homes.
For new home, okay.
So 25 new homes would give you that 158,000 in SDCs, pay that portion of the debt service.
That's primarily what the city's looking at, these pleasant taxes revenue. Not just like-
We can't stop growth in the UGBs, like we're held at a state level.
But you're not held at a state level to provide homes that have no water.
By law, the city cannot stop.
As long as we have surplus water.
Can you give me, I asked before and I haven't gotten an answer on that, is there a word in the revised statute or something that specifies that?
The whole deal is, as long as we're selling water outside the water districts, that is, in the way it's worded, it's considered surplus water. And as long as we're doing that, we cannot stop building in the city limits.
Can you tell me where that statute resides?
I,
Because I've gone through these statutes and I've actually talked to an attorney in Portland. And nobody can actually pinpoint the origin of the decision.
If we need to talk offline.
Yeah,
I'll contact our engineer.
I'd appreciate it because I've got 40 households that are very sick. And I think I owe them an answer, and I've explained that I've asked, and largely no one will discuss the issue. And I have asked for specific references to the law, because it's very interesting that that law, I do know there is a law from 1971, but I don't know that you can use it, so.
We'll talk offline.
That would be great, thank you, I appreciate that.
thoughts, Jason,
It's a pretty astronomical number. I mean, not what you're looking for, but I was looking more so at $11.50 additional to everybody's life per 4,000. Because the one thing I didn't know that got brought to the table was the debt service aspect of this from that. But if we were to do $11.50 per 4,000 units, I thought that would put us in a pretty good place, a really good position to keep increasing our CIP and have matching funds. So that was my thought on that, going into this. Not knowing that 158,000, correct me if I'm wrong, that kind of puts a number. I think as a board, I think we need to do more research on that, just to clarify that. No offense to that, but I just think if we need to work with our budget, we need to work with our engineers and find out where that money is being allocated, because I hate to put that on the residents, on a state-made-in house of that nature. And say, our bad, now you guys fix it. So let's do some more homework on that.
and that's,
Yeah.
I just wanted to put it out, that's what, going through the budget, studying, I know that the numbers in Tim's report, there's needs to be some
I get it.
corrections. Kathy, thoughts?
I'm probably a little more confused on how to deal with the water rate increases than I was Because I just did some simple numbers this afternoon. I took the 523 that I have that was in here, users, and times it by the 7839 and by year. That's almost $500,000 just for the base rate of the city. That's not adding any of the outside water districts or anything like that, because our water district spends.
But Kathy, I mean, I'm gonna put it out to the board right now. By doing the math with Tim and myself, we are losing $89,000 in revenue
From who?
from just your district.
The water district use an awful lot of water.
And I hate to put it there out there.
Because even
but
if you
that's
go
how
with,
much-
one proposed rate was $11.16 per thousand, that goes from a $32,673 a year cost for water from the city to $65,028.
When you say you're losing money, are you basing it on the water cost per gallon? Because we're basically 9 users. To your eyes, if you look at it on a piece of paper, we're 9 users. Regardless of
per gallon.
Per gallon.
Per gallon cost.
Thank you.
This is a pretty sideways situation just to fix, to get back to base level. To me, the big question is, how in the hell did this happen?
Like I stated, 30 years of no increases, 25 years. to be exact.
I mean, this is just simple
Honestly,
accounting.
the city sat on its hand for 20 plus years and didn't increase rates, and now we're sitting here going,
That should be like at the top of the list.
I'm
How
with
did
you.
how
I'm
did
with
it
you.
happen? Yeah.
I can tell, like,
Yeah.
I mean, you come in 2.5 years, 3 years, I've been here, and you just look at it and say, how did you not increase rate? How did nobody catch that for 20 plus years, and now we gotta put it on everybody
Well,
else?
it seems like in addition to that personnel number, it's stated, you hire the city to keep track of it.
Well, and
Because you guys are volunteers. I get it.
Well,
Yeah.
Jason.
Well, yeah, separate reason, but.
But to stick up for the current public works people, I mean, it's way better than it was as far as getting things fixed and repaired.
It's still an accounting.
I know.
Accounting issue.
But that's the whole city of Yamhill is that way. There is no planning,
Well, hopefully it makes it from here to there.
there's
Or
no,
across the-
so now we're gonna try to fix everything in a few years, and I think we need to spread it out a little bit more.
I mean, we're not the only, you know what happened in Lafayette? I mean, they're in this group, they're gonna the whole infrastructure, they're gonna repair. They've been charging $23
Oh my God.
I don't know.
I mean, a lot of things could happen out of this. Like, I got a neighbor, his water meters, he's up to 100,000 gallons. He was gone, right? And there's no leak. There just isn't. You can't find one. You see 100,000 gallons.
Yeah, correct.
And then, so we start looking into, meters and stuff like that. Well, if that equipment's not right, you guys are missing out on.
Yeah, and that's why we updated all the meters in the city, we
Yeah.
went back
And you
through and-
updated the district meters too, so
And
we're getting
some of
charged.
the larger meters, yeah.
Yeah.
So Brian, isn't that $235,201 for personnel? And that $326,850 for materials and services? Aren't those amounts actually paid out of our city budget?
nope. All out of water funds.
Water's supposed to be.
Water is separate from from the property taxes you pay to the city. So consider the water as a separate company, consider the sewer as a separate company.
So the budget that we did at the beginning of this year had nothing to do with personnel.
There was personnel in the
Personnel in
water
there.
budget part.
Right. Isn't that the 235,201?
Yeah,
Yes.
but they're paid for out of water fund, not city tax dollars. No city tax dollars goes to water or sewer.
But yet, excuse me, but I do believe that the city takes water from the water fund and the sewer fund to compensate their staff's payroll. Isn't that correct?
That's part of that personnel.
That's part of the personnel.
It's correct on the level. I see where you're going with that, we're paying 25% for admin, so on and so forth.
Yes.
I understand where you're going with that, but yes, it does come out of water.
So
That's all based on that number.
So instead of, it'd be just like hiring somebody just to manage water or accounting for water.
Can I ask what you were figuring on those SBCCs? I thought you said 5,000, I'm thinking they brought those on up to
It's 6,000 for,
almost 20.
just for the water side. It's, 6,000,
So there's water, sewer, and other funds.
I hate to just jump in there and interject, but I'm gonna tell you guys something. I'm not gonna hide behind the curtain. Your guys' SDC funds weren't increased at the rate they need to be increased at. And when people were putting these homes in, let's say City of Carlton was charging them, I'm just throwing a number out there, 16,000 for it, which was benefiting them in their SDCs, so they could do these improvements that you see in that. We never increased our SDC. So it just sets stagnant. And by yearly, you should have been evaluating that every year, kind of like Tim was saying, so somewhere in County Lake, they just weren't, there was no forethought. It was just like, we're gonna sit on our hands for 20+ years, and we're not gonna increase our SDCs, we're not gonna do any CIP projects, we're not gonna raise rates. And here you are. I mean, this is a complete shit show.
Well, they
And
are
they
now,
honestly
and we're
are.
probably one of the higher ones as far as SBC.
Hillsborough, you get into Hillsborough and them.
It's small
I'm
ag,
talking, yeah, Milton County.
yeah, like small ag communities, yeah.
I don't forget what.
Carlton's booming, yeah, no, dead beat. I mean,
Well, my question, I guess, what I was getting to say on that is, does SBCP be used to pay down some of that debt?
That's what we're doing right now. That's what 158,000 is going for today, is to pay part of that debt service.
But it's counterproductive, because you don't want to be paying your debt service with your SBC funds, which are gonna give you the ability to make those capital improvement projects happen. So like when we go out for grants and they say, yeah, we can build you the reservoir for $1 million, you have the 20%. I gotta go look at my SBC and it just drains, and I say no, so we gotta flip the page. So we can't have
Okay.
growth, we can't increase our intakes or.
Well, and that's what the other thing is, when I was at the city hall meeting that we had, when there was talk about grants, I said, hey, why are we getting these grants? And I was told, hey, we don't have matching money, but we do have matching money there. So
We do and we don't.
I'm trying to figure this one out, because it's like, do we not?
We don't, basically, everything in SDC is committed to debt, and that, we only have enough in there for 3 more years.
Right, but if we can use some of that to match the funds, and that doubles that, or, you know, the ability on that.
For the, you know. Let's, do we want to hammer this anymore, or do we want to take public comment and then come back and make a recommendation or no recommendation?
I'm not even close to making a recommendation, because
Recommendation, so.
Public comment,
Hear what they have.
those are here, and if they want to cover that.
The only other thing I want to bring up, and I told myself I was going to bring this up, how do we keep the city of Yamhill from dipping into the water fund and putting sidewalks in? I mean, so we've been told for the last 2.5 years that does not happen, and it did. And I realize there's no city administrator person or whatever that's overseeing, but someone should have said no, because that shouldn't have happened. And that's what I'm asking myself, are we pumping up the city's budget? And they're gonna come in here and, well, we need something here, we're gonna take it out of the water fund. Because they got lots of money right now. And so it's a concern.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said, when the city is taking out of the water fund and the sewer fund monies to pay their salaries.
But that's because Kim does water stuff, the office does water and sewer stuff in the city hall. So you have to take out, prorate those salaries to each department that they work in. So that's, I understand that part, because you can't do these water bills and do everything with no cost for the employees.
Not like 40%.
40% of what?
40% of the budget that the city is spending calling out of the water fund compared to what the salaries are for the,
Yeah, I don't get into the budget, I mean, I don't, because I don't, it's not, I'm getting into my district budget that are putting in new meters and fixing a concrete tank, and now we're gonna double our rates or more. Well, I'm trying to figure out how my people are gonna live. Because they're gonna be $200 a month for 4,000 gallons before we're done. And it's
Okay.
not doable.
Do we want to, does the committee want to make a motion to postpone any recommendations to council due to the fact that we need more information and we need to correct some numbers that in Kim's report.
And just so everybody on the board knows, from this point on, that's gonna be a charge. Can this step away from it, instead of using the numbers from this point on, I will be charging it.
Yeah, well,
It's worth the dollar, but I'm just letting you know, the longer we drag this out.
I don't think we're in a position to make a recommendation.
I don't think we are.
Is it possible for him to model a different option than the two?
He's got nothing left.
Sorry, is it possible for whoever
Yeah,
contacts
I mean-
to model a different option? Like give you guys 3 options, you know?
he charges, at this point, he's gonna charge more money.
But he, he's given us verbal, but I can talk to him. I mean, there's always options. I mean, they're an association that works with small communities.
Because I don't think, like, as from an outside, perspective, water district perspective, I don't think any of us disagree with the fact that we've had lower rates longer than we should have. And that we all have to pay to make sure that the system keeps running, well and delivering water to us. But I think just making sure that we all settle on what the fair and the right number is pretty.
I don't think anybody in this room disagrees with that.
So I
You
believe
mentioned something earlier about, if you don't get that first number right, it spins kind of out of control. And so, doing the math and making sure that your gallons, because there's gotta be a certain level of trust.
We do not do the recommendation that we need.
I move that we.
Unable to give her.
I had recommendation to council.
We need more.
We need more.
Or we need more information and to clarify some stuff in the document that we have. That makes sense.
Are you amending what, I mean, is he saying that?
Is that what you said, Paul? What he said.
There we go.
Somebody want to second that?
I said that.
All in favor, say roll call.
All right.
Just tonight.
Sabine, aye.
Philip, aye.
Thank you. With that, we'll open it back up for any public comment. Anybody wants to say anything before we adjourn? Chuck, you have to take the podium, please, and
I got to take a photo?
Yes, we do.
and state your name, address.
Are we timing this?
Yes, 3
Okay.
minutes.
Chuck Mitchell, 760 Second Street.
We need your basic easy card.
Starting over. We're losing 5 seconds.
If you think back in the minute, 22 years ago, we were at the same point when we were building, we had to do the new water treatment plant. And, we did a massive water rate study. At the time, 55% of the water being consumed was outside water districts, 45% inside. And we knew then that the outside water districts weren't paying enough at the time, so we raised their rates. And if you try to go back and look at the engineer's notes, we recommended a 2% increase per year for the inside the city to kind of maintain, money coming in, and a 5% to the outside water districts, if not even a little bit more. Because when you look at the consumption rate of the outside water districts versus the inside the city, it was pretty heavy. Those are some things you could probably look back if you want to dig back through some notes. So it has been hammered out. The mayor that took over after I did had all that knowledge, and 6 or 7 months into her term passed. All that information that we'd hammered out for 4 years left with her. And then the new guy came in, didn't know any of it, neither did the city council. All that work we did for 4 years to set rates, to adjust rates, to make sure everything was going to be, by the time we got to here, was going to be, but when all that knowledge was lost, here we are.
You know, city hasn't tried to keep up with urban growth boundary expansion or additional revenue sources. I don't know, what is our debt service on our water treatment plant right now, the new one we built 23 years ago?
Water treatment plant?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it sunsets after 20 years, that's the loan we took out, so that's gone, that debt will be gone. I don't think per state rules, you're allowed to use SDC money to pay off debt service.
That was the question.
I do not think you are allowed, because I talked about that years ago. SDC money is only for capital improvement, moving forward projects. You can't spend it on a project that's already been done. That's a huge no-no.
That's actually carried on the books of the city as a liability.
Yeah, so you have to really be careful, just like a couple years ago, they wanted to take money out of, the city has $150,000 for, a loan program. It was given to, the government gave Playing Ranch that money, and then that came back and rolled in the city, and then somebody thought it would be a great idea to use $50,000 of that to put in the police budget. I made one call to the city attorney, and he made a call to the city and said, no, you cannot do that. You can't shuffle money around like that. So, just so everybody knows, there was an established 2% increase per year for city residents, 5 to 7 for outside water users. Nothing against the outside water users, but you guys have cheap water if you're in here. I know a few of you are. The engineer at the time, back 23 years ago, always thought the outside water districts needed to pay more because they used a lot more water. And so I would like to see how much water the outside water districts are using versus inside the city limits currently. I don't know if it's evened up with all new houses or not. That would be something to analyze.
But Chuck, we don't have an SBC fund.
So,
We have a out of pocket for our.
so,
No, I understand that.
time's up, Chuck.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any public comment before we adjourn? Sorry,
Any question? This debt, this is the city annual website, or is this is on a water utility separated?
This is for personnel, materials and services, and capital improvement. This is just yearly
Which
operations.
organization owns the debt?
The water service. The city of Yamhill,
Are they one and the same? Water services or the city of Yamhill?
it's under the city of Yamhill, but it's the water pays it.
So is it treated similar to like, its own company, like our water district, its own water company? Or is it just under the Yamhill?
It's under the Yamhill, and it's a separate budget line item.
I mean, that's a shame, because I was gonna propose, a business this sideways should just file for bankruptcy and start over. So,
Unfortunately, can't do that. Any other?
Detroit did.
Is there anything or are they putting in for the grant? I know there was like $1 million grant that was given to, I can't remember if it was Lafayette or Carlton. Where are we on that?
Nothing.
Is there anything, and what do we need to do something on that?
It's up
I
to
mean,
the
the money's
council
out there.
to authorize a grant writing. I know I had a couple of people that were willing to write grants.
That do very good at it.
And that's what I heard, that the city had somebody available that was gonna be doing grant writing, and I don't know what happened.
AGS is gonna start taking over some of our infrastructure grants.
So, yeah, there's grants, it's just.
It's a shame that we're not getting our piece of the pie.
And really, until I think the city administrator to guide and direct and move this forward, it's not gonna happen.
But, you know, with the ever-changing personnel or, there's just no business mind in town. That's what I see is missing. There's no one that's looking out. I mean, City of McMinnville came in here, they've got a 100-year plan for their water department. We have a year, maybe. I mean, and I'm not faulting Jason, don't get me wrong, it's not his fault. But I'm just saying, there's nobody in the city that gives enough care to actually sit down and say, we need to be making a plan out here, not here. Because, I mean,
Well, the restraints of that is budgetary.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is.
We've looked, like Kathy said, we looked at interties with the city of McMinnville,
Yep.
interties with the city of Hillsborough, you know, we've written letters of intent. You know, we looked at creating another reservoir up there, another in-ground reservoir. I mean, it's just
we've looked at,
a lot.
and in the meantime, we've been sitting here looking, and Carlton started after we did, probably a year and a half after we did, and they're ahead of us already.
It's that city administrator.
I know, it's a city administrative person that's actually paying attention, and making sure that what, how the money's being spent.
And their grants.
And their grants, they got a good, someone's writing some good grants for them.
They've got Ken Wright.
Well, but he's not writing the grants, and
No,
he
no, I
is,
know, but he's.
but they've got some money in town, and where we have done like a no-growth business downtown, we don't have any businesses to help support some of the stuff in town. We're just kind of sitting here, where Yamhill used to be the town, and now it's Carlton. And
Well,
because,
you could debate that.
well, I'm not saying I want to live in Carlton, but you know what? Those businesses in Carlton are busy all the time.
But one barrier to getting grants that I heard Jason say is the SBC fund. You have to be able to, in order
have
to
to match
get the grant, you have
So
to be
for
able to say you have funds.
Paying
So-
$158,000 every year out of our SBC funds, we're losing our matching funds.
Which apparently we're not supposed to.
Well, if that's,
Yeah, I mean, you know, we spoke on a pretty high level, like federal level about this issue, and they came down and they said, listen, we've done everybody in these small ag communities a disservice. Just due to the fact that we can't generate what Hillsborough can generate or McMinnville can generate as far as SCC. So when these grants come out, we're competing with them in a sense, and it's like, you're just not there, right? And so, and you know, to everybody's point, the grants, we probably missed out on the biggest infrastructure grant funding in the last. Yeah. I mean, I had city administrators sit there and say, you telling me you guys got $100,000 and we got 500, 600, you know, it was just, yeah, it's kind of a shame.
And I would think that USDA would have more for the rural areas.
They do. If you go on OAWU's website, there's a link to the rural, it's the USDA funded rural water grant.
The big thing here for me though, is going with the outside districts. I believe there should be an IGA that has to be started. That somebody has to start writing. And that's some agreement with the outside districts where public works can come in and take over the infrastructure. I think that's when things start to get on a fair playing.
and how do you,
But, you know, with that IGA, like we've talked about, if a district's got to a certain standard where I could say, okay, you guys upgraded X amount of linear feet of pipe, so then we could come in and say, that's to our standard, we'll maintain it from here on out. But
So-
right now, it'd be such,
would you do that district by district?
I would.
Like,
It'd be a race to the finish line, like, I would gladly take over those districts, because we talk about water loss, water conservation, and we're surviving off a creek. And we're probably one of the better, smaller communities at 13% loss, where most communities are at 50%.
But the money wouldn't be going to the city, because then it's questionable.
Probably the best bet would be, probably the best bet would be to do a water district.
Yeah.
Then the city's out of it, then the city, that opens up some other grant opportunities and working with SDAO and those folks,
So where, could I ask where we ended up tonight and what is the next step?
We are not going to make a recommendation, we need to find some more information, and I think.
And Tim Tice will be here October 4th. So
What is October 4th?
He was
City council.
he can work with them.
Was that another meeting then?
That's the city council night. where they're gonna discuss rates.
Is that the next advisory committee meeting then?
No, that's city council.
City
City
council.
council meeting at 6:30.
What-
6:30?
What is
6:30,
the
October 4th.
advisory committe's task? Is there a deadline to?
Well, they wanted an answer.
They-
Council has set for you to make a formal
They
recommendation?
wanted us to give them a recommendation next week. Our recommendation is we're not giving them one, because we need more information, we need to clarify some numbers.
We need to know.
So,
Brian, you will be giving them this.
does the committee want me to share, or is it?
I think Tim needs to see these numbers, because that was lost in translation. $158,000
Yeah,
in here.
Yeah.
You can't generate this without those numbers.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll just talk about it. Nothing else? I know we need to, do we want to schedule another water advisory committee, or do we want to,
I would say we shouldn't skip October, we should have one,
we want to have one in October?
yeah, whatever,
Is that our normal?
Continue with the regular schedule.
yeah, should be the last. Yeah, unless they go ahead and move forward, whatever they're doing.
There's no need for us.
Yeah.
Is anybody talking to any of our representatives, like state, federal representatives?
Carlton has.
I know, but is anybody here? Somebody has. I asked.
Good.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
We're in there.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Right.
Thank you, everybody.